Hey Martin, welcome to episode 56 of Illuminating Rounds. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you, Dave. Yeah, how about you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. I've been busy. It's been my fault this time for a little bit of a delay. It took us 3 sessions to finish Head in the News, didn't it? And that was one of the problems of getting this one out long. But
Yeah, to be fair, I don't think it's because it was particularly a big scenario. We've just had interruptions and things we had to go and do, wasn't it?
that's right. Yeah, it's half term as well,
Mm,
so we're both busy there. And I was in Monte Carlo for the week, which is well, the long weekend, I should say. Monte Carlo is a very strange place. Not very many ASLers there, I'll be honest. They were few and far between. But I think that ASLers and ridiculous wealth is spent very differently. Someone might buy a shrink wrap copy of A Bridge Too Far. Others might drive a purple Lamborghini, and the two don't tend to mix, do they? These two different types of people. So
Did you do a search to see if there were any ASL players in or near
no,
Monte Carlo?
no, it felt like the wrong thing to be doing whilst I was there. But it was a very nice place. It's very very sunny, very
Yeah,
but very expensive. And
yeah.
funnily enough, I think we had a better time in Nice. We went to Nice down the road, and that was amazing.
As I think I told you that I was actually conceived in a hotel room in Nice.
Yes, yeah, I've seen the little
Yeah.
green plaque in front of the. So yeah, I don't know if it was for demolition or something. I'm not sure what the plaque said, but yeah, it was something there signifying your.
Yeah, no, I remember when I was a teenager, my dad pointing it out as we drove past the hotel.
Oh, you
Which is
went back.
interesting.
It's like a.
Well, we were in the south of France, not specifically to see where I was conceived. We were just happening to be driving down the road, and
I
we
have
sort of went, "Oh, it's up there."
I have visions of your dad being all amorous again and looking around for his next victim. It's very well. It's a very very nice place. Nice was certainly nice, and I like the fact that the taxi driver that was taking us around and showing us everywhere, he was telling us that there's a particular part which is called the English Promenade, and it's because all the rich people from England used to kind of winter there, and they effectively run the country. They're like the royal family and the prime minister and everything used to go there in the I think the late 1800s, early 1900s, and they didn't do anything other than walk up and down the nice promenade. And all the locals look at them like, "What are you doing?" Like this. But as I know, and you'll know, it's so grey in England. Seeing nice sunny beaches and stuff like that in the autumn must be a very pleasant thing. So I enjoyed a walk down the English promenade. And
Perfect. With all the French staring at you, wondering what you were doing. Yeah.
exactly claiming my territory. So yeah, it was all very good, all very good. And
Yeah.
I am off to Switzerland tomorrow to play in the Alpenfestung tournament, which is
Yeah.
a little
And there are very few millionaires there, I assume.
very well for Switzerland still.
Actually, Switzerland, you need to be a millionaire just to buy a hamburger, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. So there's 4 of us playing in a little mini tournament there.
Yeah.
Mark Bloom runs that one, and that's a fantastically small tournament. We go to a very nice Airbnb. You have to win a random selection dice roll to be invited, and then you can go along, and they hire out a nice Airbnb in the Alps somewhere, Pyrenees, I don't know what, but in mountainous regions with lakes in front of you and amazing food. And it's good. I can think of worse ways to spend another weekend.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm very envious.
Yeah.
In fact, I mean, there's another tournament coming up nearer to home, isn't there? I mean,
There is.
actually, Blackpool isn't necessarily that near to us, but
And we're going to that.
yeah, that's less exclusive, isn't it? It's called Bounding Fire, and it's about around about the 20th of November. I'm not sure the exact date.
Yeah.
And for that, you need to be able to afford a very modestly priced hotel. That's the only entry criteria, really.
If you are anywhere in England and at a loss to do anything for a weekend, and you play ASL, you have to get yourself down to Bounding Fire.
I think so.
It's brilliant. Even if you just want to enjoy a drink with some fellow ASL players,
Yeah.
play some friendly pickup games, chat to the great guys, Martin, Simons, Morris, the guys that run it. I mean, they're all great guys. Come and say hello to us. We'll be there.
We'll be there. Yeah.
Signing boards, no doubt. I will be bringing, hopefully, some coffee cups. So this is the other big thing. So we have some new Patreons. We have to say thank you to new patrons. So we have Steph, Lenke, Hank, and Darren Dolman. So thank you very much, guys. That's incredible. We really appreciate your patronage. And I think the other thing we should really say is that everybody else who enjoys the content and the ASL Scenario Archive also really thanks these guys, because this is what keeps us going. It keeps the archive running. So from everybody, thank you to the patrons. To say thank you, we've got these coffee cups made. I've spent close to £1,000 on these coffee cups, so I'm kind of hoping that someone's interested in them. So what I'm going to do, we're going to say that they're roughly £17 each. They are. There's a picture of them here. They're bamboo, and as you pointed out, Martin.
Yes, use all your movement to move into bamboo, isn't it? And
Exactly.
it's a pinch, it's a pin,
Exactly.
and a CX. I think
It's all sorts.
Yeah, you got the whole lot. Yeah.
All sorts. So bamboo travel coffee mug thing, and what we can do is we're going to offer it to patrons first of all, and patrons, you can get a discount, which is whatever your monthly pledge is effectively what the discount will be. So get in touch with me. So obviously, if you're on the top tier, we will send you a mug for free. I'll figure out the postage. We'll work it out. I mean, don't worry. So what we'll do is, get in touch if you're interested. We'll figure it out. I can't lose too much money on postage, because there'll probably be £5 or £10 on whatever, £7, whatever it will be to post these things out. But get in touch if you want them. I'll put the address or whatever.
I have to say, I think you've done a good job, Dave. They look good. I was expecting just like bog standard China mug that you get like free from like staying in going to a conference or something like that. I love British Telecom on it or something. But they look really, really snazzy, and I like you got the little dice. Now you said from the picture you've got there, you've improved on the dice.
I have, that's right, yeah, because we used a colour photo for the dice, which is taken from the one of the intros. We've had to kind of like reshade them to get them to be black and white and to contrast, so they'll be even better than they look actually in that picture. So, I mean, what more could you want? So
what's the inner? What's the inner? Is that plastic? The inside?
We get a spec out. I will. In the picture that you've already seen, there will be a speck of them inside, and then I'll show you what they are. But I'm hoping they're sustainable and good for the environment. As I have.
We're hoping that's what they are. Yeah.
No polar bears, pandas were killed during the making of those coffee cups.
Made homeless, maybe.
They went hungry, but. I don't think they live in bamboo, but yeah. Okay. Anyway, right. What are we going to do today? We're going to talk about a scenario that we played, Heading the Noose, which I'm going to ask you to give a summary of in a second, Martin. And we're also going to talk about Jim Bishop's blog that I came across. Jim, I met once when I was at ASLOC years ago. Jim is a very, very nice guy. I encourage you to check out his blog. He does some very nice articles. And we're going to talk a little bit after the scenario we show you about what to take to an ASL tournament. We've talked about this. We've talked about it a little bit in the past, but I think Jim captures it very, very well. So we're going to run through that. We're going to put the link to Jim's blog below. So all this work is Jim's. None of it is ours, obviously, but we appreciate Jim writing in a very nice style. And Jim's got some great stuff on his blog as well. But we'll come to that towards the end of the episode. So first of all, it's Heading the Noose time, Martin. Okay, Martin, so let's talk about Heading the Noose, AP71, Action Pack 7. Do you remember we did this because of Matt Shostak's article?
That's right.
So should we have a talk about this?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to sort of explain the situation?
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one idea would be to read Matt Shostak's article. Actually, if that would not be a bad bit of preparation for watching this. But the basic idea is that the Americans are starting on board and the Germans are coming on there from the right-hand side, and they have to capture buildings on the far board, which is actually board 42, isn't it?
That's right.
And each of these stone buildings is worth a number of victory points equal to the number of road hexes that it's adjacent to. So DD4 is worth 1, 2, 3, whereas DD6 is only worth 1 because there's only one road hex attached to it. And the Germans have to capture 8. So it's
Big points,
very
yeah.
much a case, I think, of the Americans trying to slow the Germans down, really. The Yes, they need 8. That's right. And the other interesting feature is that there's a lot of choice about order of battle. And I set up first, and I decided to go for all 3 groups. So basically 3 groups, and the Americans can take. Oh no, that's right. Sorry,
Yeah.
not all 3. The Americans can take 1 or 2 of these additional groups, or none of the additional groups.
Right.
That's right. And there are 3 to choose from. So I decided to go for the maximum amount, which means that the Germans also can choose 2 of their 3. So basically, the Americans decide whether this is going to be quite a big scenario or quite a small scenario.
Right.
I decided to go for all 3 because I think that the the anti-tank gun's very powerful for the Americans. That's one sort of one of their choices.
So yeah, you're choosing between an anti-tank gun or a mortar, aren't you, as one of the choices?
Yes, and that's right. That's one of the options. Yeah. So there's 3 options. One of the options is the choice between a mortar or an anti-tank gun. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it's 81 millimeter mortar, 57 L gun, and the other kind of gimmick. I don't know, gimmick's the wrong word, but the other kind of slant on this scenario is not only do you get to pick so you've got, as you said, you've got to pick your number of reinforcements, which affects the number I get, but also the gun that you pick, the mortar or the anti-tank gun, is going to sit off board at level 5 on this western edge.
Yeah. And actually, that is quite a dramatic SSR, isn't it? We found that quite an interesting rule, because the thing is because it's completely harmless. You can't harm the Germans. Can't do anything to it other than hope it rolls a double 6 and malfunctions.
Yeah.
So there's nothing they can do to mitigate the effect of that gun. So it does affect German movement a great deal. And at level 5, it can see over so much, can't it? There are blind hexes, but there aren't many. There's not nearly as many as you might imagine at the beginning. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you went with the gun, the 57L gun, which I think is the obvious choice, given that I've got a couple of decent tanks, or at least one decent tank, and potential of 2 half tracks. In fact,
it occurred to me that 57L does have some use against the infantry as well, whereas the mortar would be quite a bit weaker against the vehicles. It'd still be effective. It'd be quite effective against the armored cars and things like that, wouldn't it? But I thought on balance, would get more out of the anti-tank gun.
Yes, yeah. And you've got 2 bazookas as well, haven't you, in your full? So you've got a couple of 6.67s, you've got 3 6.66s, you've got 3 5.46s, you've got a heavy machine gun, a medium, 2 bazookas, 7 concealment counters, and then you went with the additional 6.67, the extra medium machine gun, and the demo charge with an 8.1.
That's right,
which seemed very reasonable. I kind of thought you'd gone for another bazooka. But I mean, it's much of a muchness, really.
Yeah. So my sort of thinking with that was that I've got the anti-tank gun and I've got 2 bazookas on board. That's quite a lot of anti-tank assets. And then also I wanted something quite strong. So the 6.67 with the 8.1, the medium machine gun, and the DC. It's quite a strong combination. I thought they, holding, that little cluster of buildings at the back, V1, V2, and X2.
Right.
Would be, I've got some proper strength there that will be able to perhaps hang on to those if you were using your last gasp of strength to sort of capture one more building over there.
Exactly. From my perspective, I start with 5 5.48s, 4 4.47s, 9.181, dismantled medium, a light machine gun, and a Stug, and along with the half track with the 81mm mortar in it, which I was quite excited to use. We'll see how he gets on. And then I took, so I had my 2 reinforcements. So I took the Panzer IV, so the 4J with the 75L gun, which has got the great machine guns on it. It's got the 35 and 2. And I didn't go for the, which I think Matt as well suggested was probably the better option, which is the half track with the squad, the 4.47 medium. I went with the half track that's got the 7 coax and the 3 anti-aircrafts, and that's the one you can dismantle and get the heavy and a light out of it. Bizarrely, the 7 coaxial only comes off as a light, and the anti-aircraft gun comes off as a heavy. It's a strange way of things. But,
and it has an inherent sort of half squad or something, doesn't it? That vehicle.
Yes, it does. That's right. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, an
Yeah.
SS. I think it's an SS vehicle. Um,
Yeah.
I've just seen this SSR. I don't think it made any difference.
Yeah.
But I had Schwerzin.
Yeah.
Schwerzin. You're going to tell me that would have made a huge difference, but I don't think it did.
I don't think it did, but we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So that's that. The other thing that I think we didn't particularly notice was that my guys are SS, and so
Yeah.
I'm just seeing this now.
Yeah.
So that's a good start for the gun, for the German. Sorry, but I'm sure that won't make any difference at all to our.
I seem to remember your guys coming back quite quickly.
Well, right, okay. So let's see what
We'll
happens.
see. We'll see. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. So here we go. We're going to fly through the log file here.
Mm.
So my plan really here was to try to avoid as many losses as I can. My kind of most frequent play style is to lose too many things too early on and to have too little left. So I'm trying to be less aggressive at the start of a scenario.
Yeah.
I ran straight
It's
into your...
incredibly difficult balance, isn't it? Because if you're not aggressive, you don't make enough progress. It's
Yeah.
it's difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. I ran straight into your bore-sighted heavy machine
Yeah.
gun spot.
Yeah.
And got away with not a lot of damage there with your 11 that you rolled. So I got a bit lucky.
I was quite pleased though, because I felt that slows you a little bit.
Yep.
You know, you've not made huge progress with the infantry on turn
That's
one.
right. Yeah, and nor the tank really.
Yeah.
So no line of sight there between the tank and the heavy
Well,
machine gun.
I think I said this to you. It's very reminiscent of Lenin's Sons, which I think is possibly a Schwerpunkt scenario, because you got this route through the woods,
Yep.
or you got the slightly faster open groundy sort of route,
Right.
and it felt very like it to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So a little bit of advancing, and no lost troops. To start with, you're doing the good job of retreating. You don't want to be in any line of fire. We then put some victory markers on the map. We miss the fact that Y8 over here should actually be 3 points. We had it as 1 point.
Y6, do you mean?
I apologize, Y6. Sorry, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so just bear that in mind. You kind of good bit of repositioning. It's hard to break through here.
Yeah.
So on we push, and again, not very far. I miraculously get I take a morale check here. Get the hero jumps out. Now, I will point out now, rolling 2 double ones on a trot is never a good sign. Okay, so passing a morale check to get a hero is great, but you know you're going to pay for that at some point. That's all I'm going to say. So, moving onwards, I get an 11, which wounds the hero. He's dead already. Now I get a double 6, and now the half squad's gone. So, it's like what can you expect? So it's a bit of a pushing forward, and there's a couple of misses there from your tank, and I.
But makes you nervous. So
I go into the plan was just to get into a little bit of protection. I think that's out of line of your line of sight there for you. I'm not certain now. I can't remember. But the idea was just to be able to put a little bit of fire on the two guys kind of sitting here. But sorry, I've messed that right up now.
22 hexes, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
So on.
It's that line of sight,
it rolls around. I've rolled my mortar around to try and take some shots around here. And the idea here is that we're going to perhaps take some shots and hit these guys here if we get some line of sights.
Yeah.
Some useful firing and some braking.
And of course, you malfunctioned it straight away.
That's right. So we have a mouthed
Mm.
mortar.
So I was quite pleased actually at this point in a way. I mean, that your advance that turn was sort of kept as just a couple of hexes, wasn't it, in width,
Yeah.
in depth?
Yeah.
But which I think is inevitable in that early part of the game when the Americans they've got the full force, they've got
Right.
6 firepower. You've got to
Yeah.
move adjacent to that without assault moving and losing concealment. You're gonna get broken, aren't you? So
That's right.
I think this careful advance is the right thing.
Yes. Yeah. And at this point, I've only lost the half squad, so
Yes.
I'm kind of happy with that. Really,
Mm.
we've broken you, and we're kind of pushing back. And on comes the first of my reinforcements. Another double one for my my squad. Get another hero. We push forward and start to break. Now, I did find the dummies next to your.
Yes, you advanced in close combat.
That's
as a
right.
dummy.
Yeah, which I think we kind of knew that they were dummies because of the way they were acting, but
Yeah.
it always means that I'm going to sort of face an adjacent. These guys are the heavy machine gun that we know about, which is a nervous time. So here's the 667 and the heavy and a 9-1 leader, which isn't going to be great. And there's another squad gone. So more breaks here for me. So we've got a broken squad. Half squad survives in there. Obviously, DMing your guy here.
Yes.
And this is probably my first big mistake of the game, I think, which was I should have moved this tank here first. This is really, I think, what I should have done.
If you'd have moved it there, it would have been in line of sight of the anti-tank gun.
Right.
Whereas where you are now, you're not. That's something to bear in mind.
Yes, yeah. That's true. So jump in here and manage to break a fair bit of you. So you get your hero.
Yes.
So you get a fanatic. So yeah, sorry, no breaks
Similar
just yet.
on life, I think. Yeah.
But then, we take a shot with the main armament as well, and that's what manages to break. So now your hero gets killed as well there. So that's a pretty good result for me. But I couldn't help thinking if I did that at the start of the turn, I'd have got away with it from the gun.
Yeah.
So another double one there for you. For your shooting is getting a bit tough, and now the gun starts to do some stuff, some routes. I declare no quarter. Possibly a mistake. I'm not so sure. I don't really want to be taking prisoners, knowing that I'm going to be probably in close combat at some point.
And you've taken a few casualties now, and it's a bit awkward when you start taking prisoners and you've already worried about manpower.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So 2 squads down for me.
Yeah.
And then I've done another double 6 for a rally. And now your gun kills my. And this is where I started to get a little bit frustrated with your gun. Obviously, nothing to do with you, but the feeling I've probably mentioned this before. I play a fair amount of Magic, and in Magic, there's a lot of work goes into the feel bad factor of certain things that happen in games, and by that they talk about things like the idea of looking through someone's hand and taking a card out by looking at the hand, or looking through someone's deck of cards and their library and extracting cards. And they recognise that certain things in games feels bad, even though it's part of the game. And I did feel like a gun that was off-board, that can almost see every hex. Obviously, there's certainly that I can't really do anything about. That has a rate of fire of 3. That has a 14, 15 to kill.
Yeah, it's 15,
it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. It's just like you're uphill.
It occurred to me you can't even smoke it with the mortar. I mean, I know you had bad luck with the mortar, but you can't even do something like that.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do to mitigate that. That gun.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
There's a normal scenario you can. There's something you can do usually.
I've rolled a 6 on my repair for my mortar. So the mortar is now recalled.
Yeah.
This is starting to feel a bit trickier, but again.
Yeah. And I'm sensing a bit of blood. There's bazookas all over the place.
This poor tank.
Yeah, but I'm attacking, aren't I? I'm attacking
You are.
again. It's
And
my weakness.
I joked with you, didn't I?
Yeah,
This is a Barker attack on the
yeah,
defence.
yeah.
You love it. Another double
But I thought
six.
without the tanks, I think it's going to be a much harder game for you. That's what I'm
Yeah,
hoping.
that's
Really.
exactly right. Your reinforcements that we forgot to bring on, but
Yeah,
there's no problems at all to bring them on. I mean, that's fine. That's all right. We listen. We play relaxed here. It's not a problem. No, and actually, to be fair, even without your reinforcements, I was thinking this is going to be tough, and then
Yeah,
suddenly to see, and I know it's only one of the bits or
one
one
squad,
leader,
but nonetheless, yeah.
yeah, it's still
It takes time to get a one squad out of a building, doesn't it?
it does.
That's all there is to it.
So this is worth talking about. So it looked like I couldn't get through this gap at all. So I send the hero in to bump the concealed squad. It turns out to be a leader. So my mortar is off.
And this was all about. I mean, I thought I was being dirty and sneaky because the broker, you can't get past him. The leader, I'm sort of thinking you can't get past him, but of course, you can.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So here's the infantry overrun, which we can do. So it's worth pointing out. So jump in for double the movement points. Take a normal task check, modified by the TEM. And then the great thing is you get the choice now, Martin, don't you? Whether you close combat me, which is not going to be great. You're
very unlikely to have an effect.
1 to 6 or something there, 1 to 5. And then I get to fight you back. Or you have the pleasure of me moving you into a hex of my choice that's not contained with anything. So I think rightfully, but it's the best of or the worst of both options, or better of both options. You take to be moved. I relocate you here. I just move around a bit, jump into this set, which I'm hoping are dummies, and I'm bounced back because you are actually a half squad with a bazooka, which is a little bit unfortunate, and a little bit of final fire, and you blow up my tank with the bazooka.
Yeah,
a tankless task is what we can say. This is really. So
I must say, I was taken aback by that turn because it was nice to destroy the tank, obviously, but you blew a massive hole in my line. Yeah.
So I know at this point these guys are dummies. That's kind of what I know. So it's not terrible, really. We've got potentially one squad here. We've got one squad here. So although it looks ridiculously difficult, I've still got 4 or so turns. So I wasn't feeling desperately terrible. Now at this point, this is interesting. So you start saying to me at this point, as long as I hold on to these areas here, you're okay. And I'm counting. I'm thinking, well, I can get 3 for this one, 4 for this one, 5 for this one. Although it really should have been up to 7 for this one because we were miscounting. And then I was thinking this would be the 8, 9 here. The 8 to here. So it was a bit difficult because I didn't want to say to you, oh no, you should rush down here and defend this one because this is the one I'm going to win.
Yeah.
And we've had these, we've had these kind of conversations before about what do you do when someone is basing their whole game plan, because it's not going to feel good for you if I win by running these guys down this road, and we've kind of had a not a gentleman's agreement, but we've kind of talked about the fact that this is you can win by holding on to these. And I kind of said, well, I'm not so sure, we'll see or whatever. But
I couldn't see. You said that, so that cued me up to kind of have a look around. But I couldn't see what you were talking about because I'm thinking that is worth 1 victory condition point because it's got 1 V in it,
right?
And it's worth 3, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, So to be fair, I only thought it had 1 as well. But what I was because it was 3, 4, 5, and then you're right. So we had talked about whether it was worth more. I think we'd figured out at some point we weren't counting this at 1 at this point. I don't think that wasn't the issue. It was more a case of just.
I was definitely counting it as 1.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Apologies then. I thought that we were both thought this was at this point in the game. But anyway, it's.
But it's very obvious looking at the map that there's more than 1 road hex adjacent to it. Yeah.
But interestingly, that could have been a bit of an awkward moment there because especially because we've got it on the board marked as 1 point.
Yeah.
it wouldn't have felt good for either of us at that point. So I'm glad the game ends
I'm still
as it
feeling,
does.
even with that, I'm still feeling reasonably good because I know this anti-tank gun can help you cross this bit of open ground. Sorry, make it hard for you to cross this open ground. I've still got a lot of firepower out there, lots of 666 squads. Trying to get them into buildings. I think it'd take you time to get me out of the buildings one by one.
Yep. Yeah.
And I think you're probably feeling the same way, although you've got a route to victory, definitely.
It was definitely tough for me at this point, but I've still got my heavy machine gun kind of half track coming on.
Right.
You were very unlucky you didn't manage to rally these guys, which you should have done, and then my hero gets to DM them again. So this is just a leader with 2 broken half squads. So this guy here, we broke this guy, didn't we? This was, I can't remember if this was a sniper that might have broke this guy or I broke him, but we kind of joke about the fact that whether I'm going to kind of chase after him or just kind of make him go away. So the heavy machine gun. So I decided to basically just leave him alone, thinking that okay, that'll be taken care of. The gun fires at these guys here and just pins the leader, which I guess is what I would be happy with. But yeah, you kept rate of fire, and we get some decent bits and pieces. There's a little bit of advancing fire that doesn't do anything. Your DM guy runs back, and I kind of get in a position. So here, I'm thinking it's tough. I've got 3 turns. I know I've got to make it all the way down to this hex here down in U6 or U8. Sorry, but even so, it's not lost. And then you rally the 666 here.
Rally him, remarkable. Yeah,
which is bad for me because now I'm going to have someone from the behind, kind of keeping an eye on things.
I thought that was quite a significant sort of turn, sort of move in my direction. Actually, that squad rallying on his own.
Yeah. These guys are in a bit of trouble. We have a break. I think you moved up and DM'd them, but that 6-6 has gone back now. I think he jumped in, DM'd them, and then came back in again.
Yeah.
A little bit of prep fire, but here now it's looking pretty tough for the Germans. But we do manage to get a break from the sniper, so the sniper's done a great job.
And that's the medium machine gun as well, isn't it? So it is quite significant.
Yeah, that was a big break for me. So suddenly I've got an opening, but with this first fired guy down here, I've got to basically push my leader towards him to make sure that he doesn't get any extra shots. The half track comes round, gun sees him. Let's take some shots. And we're off. And now at this point, previous to this double 1 and double and 3, I was thinking, you know what, I have a chance because you know we've got this guy here that clearly I'm not necessarily favourite for this close combat, but I'm going to take this building here. I might be able to push you out of this one.
Yeah,
it would only leave a little rush, maybe with the half track dropping off the infantry. So there's a slight chance.
Yeah.
In goes the leader. Now you decide here to pull back, don't you? This is a good safe move here for you.
Which one are we talking about?
The 666 up in DD4.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, I thought about it very hard actually, trying to work out what was the best thing, because it made me more vulnerable to you shooting from DD6.
Right.
But on balance, I felt like it was the right thing to do.
So we DM this guy here. Yep. So this is just to prevent. So I was quite pleased with this little half track. It was doing a decent job there.
Yeah. So that's why I think I was very glad to got rid of the other tanks, because I think with 3 other vehicles moving around, I think I'd have been you'd have
Yeah.
torn me to pieces by this stage.
Um,
He decided to
you-
go and create some smoke with it.
yeah, you do the
Mm.
thing, and so at this point now, I've got to push
Mm.
very hard now. This 8-1 has got to do a lot of work, but I'm still thinking, well,
Possible.
it is
Mhm.
possible. It is possible. Pass nice tomorrow. I'll check there. So he's still good. This
Mhm.
the half squad at least that's left is good.
Mm.
And then you
That's 666.
yeah 66 does it and
Is that where you conceded?
that's exactly where I conceded. Yeah. Exactly.
So that's another reason why that card trying to get that 666 out of DD4 was the right thing, because it didn't. You couldn't win the game by capturing DD4, but he could have stopped you from getting further.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
So it was a nice scenario. I said to you at the end of the game, I would have much preferred this scenario if that gun was just somewhere on board. I didn't care where it would have been. It would have been a really nice scenario, I think, at that point, because the gun would have been available. You know, you'd have had a nice decision about where to put it. You know, maybe in DD4, maybe in Z5 here. You know, as a nice kind of holder of the whole board. It just felt a little bit kind of you're up against it a bit to so
The only thing you can do to mitigate it is think about how you move, isn't it? There's nothing else that you can do, and even then, there are times when you have to expose yourself to it. Yeah.
And the thing is, the Germans do get some nice toys. They do get some nice
Absolutely.
things, and
Those
you
tanks
don't
are
really
brilliant.
get to enjoy them. So I love the mortar half tracks and stuff because you don't see those very often. But it was a good scenario. Like I say, I would have preferred it just with the gun on board somewhere. I don't know if they had to do that with the off-board gun. Nice length scenario, wasn't it? I mean, for 7.5 turns, it for effectively a one-board scenario, it wasn't rushed, was it? It was nice.
No, I think we played it actually a reasonably good pace, even though it was over 3 sessions. We weren't playing slowly. It played very easily and very well.
Yeah.
And I like that it has those sort of stages to it. That's you coming on, advancing to a pro, and then trying to sort of, muck me up and stop me from having a coherent line. And then I've got the problem then of crossing open ground and stuff. It's an interesting game.
Yeah. Anyway, so thank you to Matt for doing the analysis and encouraging us to play. Ches Argent, thanks for the good scenario. That was Action Pack 7. Obviously, Matt's analysis is in Journal 12. So take a look at that if you'd like to. And well played, Martin. Another one for the good guys for you. So
yes, that's right. Yeah,
well played. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about tournaments and Jim Bishop's site. So Jim Bishop, first of all, Jekyll.com, JEKL.com. Description link down below. But there's lots of good articles. This is by no means representative of his type of article. This is more of a kind of a fluffier, kind of light, less rules intensive one. Jim does great play aids as well. So Jim talks about what to take at a tournament, and I think this is really useful because I read this, and I'm always interested in seeing what other people think that because everyone has their idea of what they should take, and I'll be taking to Switzerland. I'll be taking the scenarios. I'll be taking in my dice tower. I'll be taking out my rule book. But what what should people take? So we mentioned before, if you're near Blackpool, anywhere near Blackpool, go along. But let's see what you say. So number one, he talks about the rule book. So what do you? I mean, now Martin, on you, we've both got the electronic rule book. Would you take your tablet-enabled device? Would you take your pocket rule book? What are you gonna?
I shall take my pocket rule book.
Yeah.
I just feel more comfortable flicking through it. I think it's quicker on a tablet.
Yeah.
But I don't think it matters. It's sort of just a question of preference. You need two because you both need to look something up because you stop the game and you have to say to your opponent, "Oh right, can you just find out for me, please, how we do this?" You're better off working on it together, aren't you? And it's a lot quicker.
Do you know some people have those great new words they invent when there's I can't think of one right now, but they have these great funny words that you invent for doing things in certain situations. There must be a word for the ASL player who is asked to look up a rule that doesn't have his rule book. that sort of this pose where they have to sit there and try to think of a rule whilst whilst their opponent is going through. There must be a great word for that, because I've seen it happen before, and the other person's
The thing
face is not happy.
sometimes you have a sense that something is the way the game should be played, but you've got no idea where the rule for that would be or what it is. Do you know what I mean? It's yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, because we had something like that, didn't we? We had something in this game. I'm trying to think
That's
what
right,
it
with
was.
the prep fire, using prep fire to turn to
Right.
a better to your tank to a more safe covered arc. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Could you change your vehicle cover arc in prep fire?
Yeah.
Which, is it in the prep fire? Is it in the tank rules?
Yeah.
Is it in the where is it? And of course, when you're looking for something that isn't there,
Yeah.
it's really quite hard.
For somebody else's benefit because they didn't bother to bring their rule book. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that didn't happen in our game, but yeah.
It didn't happen in that game, no. But
and
that's the potential situation. I think you need the rule book is the absolute minimum, isn't it? That's I think to bring to.
Do you annotate your rule book?
I don't. Many people do.
Yeah,
I don't know what I put. I mean, to be honest with you, it's enough in there for me to read without reading my annotations as well.
So a lot of people highlight, which always looks like a really good idea. I don't like to write in books at all, but a lot of people highlight, which seems really
What
good.
do you highlight? Does it draw? And you don't know what the rule is you're going to be looking for next time. You won't have highlight it in advance.
And it's almost like there's no extra sentences in that rule book that could be like considered fluff, is it really? It's all it's just anyway. All right, so bring your rule book. It's absolutely essential. Bring a rule book.
Yeah.
I guess we should say, there are going to be new players that have perhaps only come from starter kit that don't have a rule book. Maybe it's fine. It's fine, isn't it?
That's right.
No one is saying don't turn up to a tournament without.
In fact, I'm playing a new guy tomorrow, Mike, who lives in Hull, playing him on Vassal, one of his first games, and he wants to go. He's going to the tournament, so we'll meet him there. Absolutely. If people haven't got things and they're starting out, that's great, isn't it? Everyone's happy to be supportive of new players.
And as you've said in the past, a free win's a free win. So take them while you can.
That's not me.
You're the guy that fills the chit in and have it all ready to go.
That's true.
Teasing. I know you're not. That's happened to you. I know that's happened to you.
I've heard people call it bottom feeding.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard people call it that. It's unkind, isn't it? That's why I'm reacting to your joke, your joshing. I definitely never felt like that.
Every person that goes to ASL tournaments for the first time has the awful experience of almost certainly losing all of their games. I mean, it's the jump in your first few games to your 30th game at a tournament is huge. Then generally people slowly start to find their level, and that might be way up high. It might be a few places above the ladder rankings, whatever. I think, and I've certainly met people who are upset about their ladder rankings and are concerned about it and are worried about it. I think that somehow people read into it more than it is. It doesn't make a difference. I mean, I would tell people, like, it's great because you see who the good players are. You get an idea of whether you are, every player that plays ASL at a tournament is somehow pretty good at the game, compared to their grandma, their sister, their uncle that's never played the game before, their granddad.
I'm not sure that would help their feelings if you said, look, you're probably better than your grandma.
But what I'm saying is it's a really hard game to play. Yeah. It's really hard. And here's the other thing, right? You've seen my play. My play isn't great at all by any stretch, okay? I was at some point, I was top 10 of the active players in the UK. Yeah. I mean, look at me. I don't know what I'm doing most of the time. It's not like there is. I mean, the good players are very, very good. Okay, we know the Craigs and the Marks and the Tobys in the UK.
They're very, very good.
Very, very good players. The rest of us,
to be at that level, it's partly ability, but it's partly working really hard at it. Yeah. I remember talking to a guy who said he used to be at near the top of the ladder and he'd fallen back. He said it took him 7 years to get there, and he had a wife and children and a job, and he suddenly decided, is this really what I want to do with my life? I get to the top of this ladder.
So where did the children and the wife end up? You
So he carried on playing, but not to anything like the level of study and commitment he needed to be a really good player.
Yeah.
I think it's important to forget about ladders actually and just enjoy the game.
Yeah. I mean, and just
the last thing you want to do is be going there, go, oh god, I've lost the last 10 games. I can't let it be 11
Yeah.
because you can guarantee you'll lose it then. And you go along. It's go along to have fun. I think.
I absolutely agree with you. I mean, I think just wanted to talk about the other good players that we've played against in the UK. Martin Vicker, Dave Schofield. I mean, these. I'm sure we're going to miss a few others out there that
sure.
good players. Those guys work really hard at it, but at the same time, the people lower down the ladders, they are. I have competitive games with those guys as well. There's no easy game in ASL really. I mean, yeah, of course, when you're playing a guy that's just come from starter kit, he's not going to know anything. But like with you, you didn't know as much as I knew when we very first started playing. In terms of I'd played a bit more than you. Within, I don't know, 10, 15 games, you were as competitive as I would have.
I actually remember that. I think I won the second or third game I played against you. I remember, I think. But other than that, after that game, after that win, I had a 36 loss in a row run.
But okay, I remember. None of those games were walkovers. Many of those games were like, I mean, so.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But look now, I would say that you've won certainly in the last 20 games. You've won more than me, in our little partnership. So
we feel like that recently, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
But it's 50-50. It's just the fun, isn't it? When I've played those sort of better players, I very rarely beat them. If I do, it's from being a little bit lucky, really. But I could still give them usually a game that's enjoyable for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Second thing you got to bring charts, chapter dividers. Absolutely. I think rat charts now is what you'll see most people bring around in their tournaments. These are very useful. Everyone's got.
You could almost get away with it with the rule book in the little pocket edition, but it makes sense to have the charts.
It's very useful. The dividers are always a little bit cumbersome. I think I always struggle with dividers to find out what I'm looking for. So rat charts are great. Dice, thread, and something to roll them in. The dice is pretty useful. I think that's one thing I think is nice, especially in COVID times. I think we're seeing some change in behaviours with certainly. So I've played a few Magic tournaments since things have started to reopen here. And it takes a little while to get used to not cutting someone's deck and not shaking hands and all these kind of things. Yeah. Seems a bit crazy when you're sitting in front of someone for an hour, 2 hours, whatever, in an ASL game that you're not going to.
Because no doubt you're breathing all over each other, and the handshake might not be the critical thing, but
exactly. So Dice Tower. I mean, Dice Glass. If some people like, it's a bit of a Marmite thing, isn't it? Dice glasses.
Yeah. Not everybody will enjoy you expecting to roll in their receptacle.
Yeah.
I think that's the truth, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think there is a lot to be said for leaving the dice where they are.
Yeah.
To look up things like to hits and turret hits and stuff.
Because you invariably you're so excited at getting the hit, you invariably forget that that you've got rate of fire, and then you'll find it'll bounce off or whatever. And
that's exactly right.
Definitely worth leaving.
And Jim recommends as well a third dice, different colour for things like either the dust dice, things like that. Maybe random selection, maybe the rate of fire dice if that's what you want to do. So something different.
Yeah, I think certainly the random selection. It's worth having a few dice. I think most players have plenty of dice, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. Next one on the list, a scenario playlist. Now this is less. I don't do this. I think one of the people that Jim is annoyed is probably too strong a word, but he says things like, if anything's happened to you, you meet an ASL player, you ask him, do you want to play anything? And they say, not really. Do you have anything on your list? And that's exactly what I say. I like to be accommodating. I want to let's play whatever you want to play. But I can appreciate, like one of my daughters who has not very many strong opinions, asking her what she wants for dinner or what she wants to do or anything. It's quite tricky because she doesn't mind anything, and that's a bit like me in terms of what you play. So I think it is a good idea to have a list of stuff.
Definitely a good idea. It's not essential, is it? And very often, if you're going to a tournament, even if you're not involved in the tournament, there's a set of scenarios that are official for the tournament, and it's very easy to pick something from those.
Yeah. Or pick something that you haven't played in one of the rounds because there was a choice of 3.
That's right. Yeah.
But I can see how it is optimum behavior if you want to bring like a little scenario pack of 10 or 20 scenarios that you wouldn't mind playing.
Yeah.
If you could. Okay. System counters. Yeah, bring system counters if you can. It's always nice that you've got your own system counters for a game.
Yes, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because that is the one thing you share, isn't it? That's the
Yep.
well, I suppose the order of battle counters as well. But so you could strip if you were flying a long way, would you say to somebody maybe that would be something you could leave at home or
So
not?
yeah, with the Alpenfustung, so I think two of us potentially are flying long distance to get there. Well, I think
Yeah.
perhaps just be maybe two in a car and
Yeah.
come by train. But it is tricky to coordinate all the equipment, and we're trying to get two sets of everything that we need.
Yeah.
And so, for example, I'm bringing the deluxe boards. Others, there's two sets of system counters and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. We don't need four sets of system counters.
Mm.
And
I mean, if you're
especially-
driving to somewhere within your own country, there's no harm in chucking it in the boot with everything else, is it? Because if everybody decided not to take the system, it seemed like a ridiculous situation.
a lot of
So I
chits
think
and
that you'd expect people to have it with them, but I wouldn't. If I had somebody who'd flown from the US or Canada or something to be with, or even Europe to be at Blackpool with us, and he said, I didn't bring my system counters,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be at all phased by that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everyone else is going to have them.
Overlays. We're going to talk
Yeah.
one day about how to store overlays, but overlays. So Jim says that overlays are small and they're hard to track down. Gets you nervous when you load them out. I can completely agree because overlays are the one thing you're not going to remember to ask from someone when they ask to borrow an overlay. That has happened to me, and I'm pretty sure I've got them back. But certainly, I've had people come up to me, "Hey, you got your overlays there? Can I borrow Hill 4 or whatever it is?"
Yeah.
You remember when you haven't got your German counters back when someone's borrowed them, but do you remember that someone's got, because it's still probably blue tacked to someone else who's bored somewhere on another thing. So that is
It's polite to have them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or make copies. And I know, for example, Vassal's quite good at being able to print out your own potentially your overlays as well if you really had to. He suggests bringing your common orders of battle. So yeah, of course, if you bring your Germans at a minimum, probably Germans, Americans, Russians is the core that you would probably need.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's often a Japanese round, isn't there? There's often some stuff with the British in there, so it starts to get trickier.
That's right. It'd be easy to talk about perhaps the ones that you could probably risk not taking.
Yeah. Jim then suggests bring it all. If you can bring it all, go back to your point, Martin. If you can, if you're driving, just put it all in the car. You never know what you might need or what you might have to lend out to someone.
I usually leave a lot of it in the car, and that's fine. I don't need to drag it all the way into the building and stuff like that. But if suddenly someone goes, do you know what, we're gonna play, Axis Miners or whatever, I can go and get them out of the car. It's fine.
Exactly.
I'll bring the main nationalities in.
Yeah. And Jim's right in saying that people are very, very good at when you lend your stuff out. In general, people are treat this other people's stuff very, very nicely.
100%.
I'm not certain if they put counters back with the amount of care that they were, especially like my vehicles. I know we've talked about this before. My vehicles are all stored vertically in like kind of that system where everyone puts their. And the tricky thing is, it's not obvious whether the counter should be in front or behind the divider of the the Panzer IVs, the Panzer IIIs, or whatever it is. And so I can see how sometimes they get put in the wrong slots. So there is that little bit of maybe I had to put a little note on the tray, store counters in front of the thing, whatever. But in general, people treat other people's stuff with a lot of respect. So that's that.
Yeah.
And now here's some good things that I think is really, really useful. So that's the kind of got through the obvious stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff that you wouldn't think to bring to your first tournament that Jim has nailed spot on here. A table lamp. I remember going to my I went to my first tournament and saw people almost like it was like their own little bedroom in their little corner, in a dark little corner, but with a lamp. And you're like, well, okay, that's a really good idea, because hotel lighting isn't designed for playing ASL. Our eyes are not getting better. Everybody is doing this now with counters. Can you read what that says? And there's a lot of this going on. So get a table lamp with an extension cord, because you can't be certain where the plugs are. So that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Tylenol, I guess paracetamol in the UK, Nurofen. You do get that fuzzy head, don't you?
Do you know what? I have never had a headache from playing. I may have had a headache from the drinks the night before. That's possible.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever had a headache from playing. Certainly fuzzy head, but I think that's more just tiredness, isn't it? That's Yeah.
lack of
Difficult to
water,
concentrate. Mm.
long
Yeah.
concentration, stuffy room, warm room,
Yeah. Yeah.
all of that. Yeah, lack of sleep, alcohol the night
Yeah.
before. It
And you know
doesn't.
what? You work hard with concentrating when you play. I mean, if you were doing it for a paid job, you'd be going home going, bloody hell, I had a tough day at work staying up. It's hard. Yeah. Mm.
Hard to complain about it, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah. No. Well, I'm not complaining. I
No,
love
no,
it.
no.
But,
I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, no, I
yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
It is something that you don't like to moan
Mm.
about, but it's right. Snacks, absolutely bring some snacks. Be
I
careful
always
about
take
the.
a decent instant coffee
That's
because
good.
you can, if you can't get decent coffee, instant coffee's not ideal, but expensive decent instant coffee makes a big difference to me
Yeah, that's
in
a
my
good.
room.
Yeah, that's funny. Actually, I'd never thought to do that. I always just
Mm.
go through the 3 little sachets that I get given.
Oh, I do those anyway, just because I can't bear to have paid for something I don't use.
But that's a good shout.
Yeah,
And a notebook.
yeah,
That's really good. I think notebook's really good
yeah,
because
yeah.
Jim mentions you will learn new things. You might want to take notes of stuff. Your hip
Yeah.
notes or whatever.
Yeah.
Pen and paper is always useful for tournaments.
Yeah.
There's a lot of I can imagine a lot of tournament organisers fret about the number of pens and pencils they're asked to borrow and this that and the other. So that was really good. So Jim, I think that's a really good thing. Final thing he
Excellent.
mentions, and I think this is also really good.
Good
is
attitude.
bring a good attitude. Yeah, that's really good. You're likely to lose more scenarios than you win when attend a tournament. It's good. There are skilled players there. I think it's a really good.
Everyone
list.
looks forward to it. Everyone goes looking for a good time, don't they? And at the end of the day, it's pretty much people do have a really good attitude. People are just enjoyable to play. There's there's a few jokes. We work together on the rules and stuff like that. And I think that's how it should be, and that's why there's such enjoyable events.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So big shout out to all the tournament organisers.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Jim for doing a great list.
Yeah.
I think that's really really good. Next week, or perhaps a week after, because I'm away for a little while, we are going to look at dispatches from the bunker. We're going to do a bit of an in-depth look at some of that stuff. We're going to talk about some of the good stuff that Vic does. So we've got a suggestion to play one. I think Joe Arthur's given a suggestion to play one of the scenarios there. But if anyone else has a suggestion for a dispatches scenario,
Do we know what that is, Dave?
no, not off the top of my head.
No, okay, sorry.
But that's okay. But a lot of them have been taken up by MMP, so we won't play one of those because people have obviously already played those. Perhaps, if they've been out of the
that makes sense.
So we'll try and play something from that. We'll talk about the production quality and things like that, and what the content's like. Martin, anything else?
No,
that's it.
I think it's time for lunch.
Lunchtime. Okay. Thanks for the game. Well played today, and so head in the noose. Good one. And I will see you back with a small tournament report from Switzerland next time. And until
Look forward to that.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye all.
Sorry, I don't know that.
Sorry, that was Alexa reacting to something we just said.